Epic Entertainment Critics. I am Antoine.
And I'm still James.
We got a nice little podcast planned for y'all today. We're gonna do a review on a Netflix show, The Punisher. Then we're gonna talk some Star Wars. Star Wars coming out in a couple weeks. And
we gotta get on that.
Yeah, and then we got some other topics, some other movie stuff to talk about. So then we got, I think we got a little trailer jump on. So we got some little stuff planned for y'all. So so let's go ahead and jump into this. Let's jump into this Marvel Netflix TV show. The Punisher is starring John Bernthal. That's his name. Yeah. That's how you say his name. And a few other people.
A bunch of folks you ain't never heard of. You know how it is.
So now Punisher comes from. He was actually on the Daredevil show first, and thing was, I don't think he was set to get his own show, but he kind of like stole the show.
Yeah,
he kind of took the show away from Daredevil a little bit.
Yeah.
And they was like, well, we got to give him his own show.
Like Daredevil season 2 was all about the Punisher love, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the Daredevil stuff was still good because that was actually a good season.
Oh, yeah.
But Punisher did steal the show.
Him and Kingpin.
Yeah, so now the comic Punisher is a little different. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to start from where the Punisher came from. Punisher first appearance was in a Spider-Man comic. I don't remember which. You remember which issue?
No.
Okay, so that's what he was just. It was in the Spider-Man comics, like in maybe the 70s, I believe. And he was kind of. I guess he was a villain. He was a villain.
He was introduced as a villain. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just like a. I guess he was just like an assassin or whatever. I don't know if they planned on making him like a character like on the regular, but he got popular.
Well, because like the original idea was to make him a recurring character throughout Marvel Comics.
Okay.
The original working name they had for the character was the Assassin, but Stan Lee stepped in and said we can't use this guy as a good guy if his name is the Assassin.
Yeah.
So they came up with the Punisher. He's going around punishing evildoers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Vigilante. What they call that? Anti-hero, if you will. Because the thing is, the Punisher, he don't do the Batman thing.
No.
he ain't with the Punisher. You don't go to jail. Good news, right? You don't go to jail, right?
I'm so happy.
No, he fucking annihilate your ass.
What you doing with that grenade launcher, man?
So that was Punisher thing, man. He was a violent anti-hero that had a lot of guns.
So many guns.
And with all the gun things, the crimes, the little gun tragedies that's been going on, I think Netflix kind of wanted to ease their way into showing this.
Yeah.
But you know what? On the show, it's not real gun heavy as much as I thought it was.
No.
It's more drama driven than I thought it was. But it's still good though.
It works, but it surprised the hell out of me.
But you got to think, if you got a 13 episode show, you can't just have them shooting everybody
right
in every episode.
Though that does give me an idea for the John Wick show.
Yeah, walk his dog for about 5 minutes and then kill everybody for the rest of the damn show.
Turns out everybody in the park he's walking his dog is an assassin after he has to kill them all. The dog helps. The dog's running around with a K-bar.
See, the difference between John Wick and the Punisher, John Wick is like a tongue-in-cheek. We are making it's not a parody. What I'm looking for? It's kind of like a caricature of a action hero that people just pop out of nowhere. And
it's almost satirical.
Yeah, where it's like what you're getting from the beginning.
It's never going to be down to earth. It's always going to be way overblown, overly stylized.
So you don't take it real serious. You know what I'm saying? But the tone of the Punisher is way different from that, where you are taking it serious and it's real consequences and people really dying.
Though now I'm terrified of the idea of if the Punisher ever did get a dog and somebody killed it, like a few city blocks would probably get demolished.
Yeah, that'll be bad for somebody. So this brings us for the Netflix Punisher, their version of it. It's been other versions. Talk about the movies real quick. The 3 other movies on this character. Dolph Lundgren played him in 1989, I think. And then they had a 2004 version with Thomas Jane, and they had a 2008 version with Ray Stevenson. So they all played them. They all played them different. They all got different looks. I personally like the Ray Stevenson look the best
because it was so close to the comic.
Yeah, because Frank Castle kind of got this greasy
white
hair
boots and gloves.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Well, his signature is the skull.
Yeah.
He got his outfit is kind of, but it's for the time. Every superhero had to have tights.
Yeah, he had to be a little funky, a little fabulous.
Yeah, but his boots did look like go-go boots.
Right.
So yeah, the original character, his trademark is a white skull on his chest, and they kind of followed that in everything. Well, not in that first one. They didn't even give him the skull.
Yeah.
But
and then the skull got adopted by like special forces guys all throughout the American military.
What you mean in real life?
Yeah.
Oh, so the Netflix is going to put their spin on the Punisher, and it's played by John Bernthal, and like I said, it's in the same universe as the Marvel universe, but I feel like it's not, but it is because the Marvel. But you know what? These shows are way more grittier than the movies,
and they take and I've always enjoyed this. They don't address the movies like
they mention it.
They mention it a little bit, but like
because on Luke Cage, the dude was selling The Incident. They call it The Incident, and then even on the first season Daredevil, they mention. Like Thor and Iron Man just mentioned,
Like it's not like steep, like it's not like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like everything that happens on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like closely like ties in with certain events in the movies. It's like, no, this is its own
And I think
story.
it's in the same universe as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, right?
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be
don't
more
talk about that.
Grounded on whatever the situation is in that small area.
And one thing I really liked about these Marvel Netflix series is like, in a way, they've all been about New York.
Yeah.
And specifically the version of New York that exists post Avengers.
Right. All these shows are like in the New York area.
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen, Harlem,
Marvel,
and I don't know where Jackson Jones at, but it's in New York though.
I think that might have been Brooklyn.
Right. And this is in New York too. And so when this show start, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I didn't like in these first 3 episodes. So I'm kind of gonna break it down like 3 episodes apart. Not really the episodes, but like the first half, middle, and the last.
Yeah.
So in the first half of this show, it was cool, but it was moving real kind of slow for me, and that's because they took its development back where it started.
Yeah.
After you'd already developed them, I didn't like that. And the first episode had so many cliche moments that I was rolling my eyes, and I was like, "Man, come on, y'all! Y'all are. I'm pretty sure y'all some veteran writers. Y'all should know better than put these cliches in there. And you know what I'm talking about?
In too.
Yeah. So, he's the new guy. No wait, the new guy started. At this new job, he's just working in construction sites for extra money, just money to live on or whatever. Yeah. And they got the new guy, and these people picking on him like they in 8th grade or something. Like seriously, like
hey, look, it's the Gimp.
Yeah, seriously, like we got grown men acting like child bullies. It's like stop it. That's so not realistic to me, man.
And he's swinging a hammer like a goddamn caveman.
Yeah. And then we got
John Henry.
And then we got the one guy that wanted to be his friend. You already know what's gonna happen to him. He gonna get in trouble.
Sitting up there sharing lunch, talking about his sick grandma.
Yeah, what? A sick grandma. I'm like, come on, y'all throwing every cliche in the book in this first episode, and that's just put him back on the path of whatever path I forget. And okay, so that and then he actually I'm gonna talk another thing about that first episode. We know you're the Punisher. He killed people, but the brutality, the way he killed these guys was just a little much. And that's the thing for me. These guys were pretty low level.
They were nobody.
Yeah.
Like, they were barely criminals.
And I'm looking like, okay, it's not out of character that he have killed people, but it's out of character that he will even take them serious enough to kill them.
You know, like
and brutally kill some people.
Because when he kills people in brutal methods, he gets personal about it. And he only gets personal.
It almost seemed like he was enjoying it.
He only gets personal on the real scumbags, you know.
Yeah.
But and these guys, like they don't know nothing. They've, you know, they were gonna kill somebody, but it's like if that's the case, I would have been fine if he just killed them and kept walking. Or he took his time.
Yeah. Or if he just shot him. No, he killed 3 dudes with a hammer. So brutal. You know, I was like, okay, I'm finding it hard
like that
to be on this dude's side right now.
In the creep walk up to the dude while he's on the ground, like.
So this is the thing. He gave them a warning. So if they would have stopped, would he not have killed them?
I don't think so.
Then when they start begging for mercy, did you have to keep going? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I feel like there was a moment early on where he did the job and it was done. But he hadn't had enough yet.
Yeah, but see, like those guys, they were assholes, but they were just assholes.
They were just assholes. Like,
you know, they did some crooked stuff, but it wasn't like serious enough to.
But you know what? Like with that, like even looking at the way he was, you know, doing his job at the construction site, he was trying to find a suitable outlet for all that rage and hurt, and
right. I got you.
The only outlet he knows of that works is killing people.
Yeah. See, but this thing about the Punisher, he got somewhat of a moral compass where he'll kill somebody, but only if he feel like you deserve it.
Yeah.
He don't just kill everybody he run into.
True.
You know? And I'm feeling like these little low life punks, you could have just scared them.
And it's really hard to reconcile that opening salvo with the rest of the series.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, damn, I'm not, you know.
It's like, okay.
I ain't gonna say I'm not feeling this guy, but damn, I didn't sign up for that.
I mean,
shit.
It lets you know right off the bat that he ain't the good guy,
right? But he's supposed to be, and they. They fall in him.
Well, you know, it's not so much they ain't the good. Well, because he isn't the good guy. He's the protagonist, but he's not really the good guy. You know,
I understand it.
You know, he's not a hero.
I understand it. It.
And I think they tried too hard to exemplify that.
Yeah,
too early on in the absolute worst situation they could have picked.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the guys were innocent. I'm not saying he just did it, but they were some crooks, some low level crooks that he could have just put in the hospital. My opinion. But he brutally murdered them motherfuckers.
I feel like it would have felt just as weird if, like, he had seen some guy grab his kid too hard and he had started beating his face in with a brick. You know?
Yeah. Well,
like, because I don't even remember what movie that was, but I did see that in some movie. You know, like that kind of misplaced, like, hero syndrome kind of thing. Like, I get that you think that you're making him look good right here, but he's not. You know.
I know. I think they went a little too far in a couple places.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. I'm gonna bring up some more stuff later. So I'm gonna move on. We don't want to linger on that too long, right. But that's gonna introduce this new character, and that's Micro, and short for Microchip. And a lot of people know from the comics that's his guy in the chair. So every superhero needs his little support group.
Yeah.
As you see in all the fucking CW shows, everybody got somebody talking to him on a headset.
Yeah.
That's on the computer.
It's usually the best friend.
Yeah, turn here. Oh, we got a map to the whole city. Bring it up. It's like, man, you can get in. Come on, man.
All right, they're heading down 5th. You can cut them off if you take Lexington.
Yeah, it's all. You always got your hacker or whatever, but which this guy is every cliche on that, but he's more than that. So I actually like Microchip.
Yeah.
His name was David something.
Lieberman.
Okay, yeah, and it was a deal with he seeked out Frank because he needed his help, or whatever. And then I don't know how they got cool in the comics or whatever, but I just know that I stopped reading for a while, and then I kind of came back into it a little bit, and he was there. So I don't know how he got introduced. You know, I just like when I started checking out some Punishers like later on, I was like, who's this guy? He got some fat dude that's on the computer that's got a van.
Can I just take a moment and say how happy I was to see the battle van?
Yeah, but I was a little disappointed on that.
They could have done
more
with it.
Right. I thought they was gonna put some more, like, let's put a few weapons on there. Yeah. Maybe they could do that later, but we don't even know if it's gonna be another season. But
I was really hoping, man.
Yeah, I was hoping he fitted it.
Because I still remember the first time I saw the battle van in the comics. Like, you know, in there, it's like the thing is fully tricked out. Got all the weapons. Got a weapons bench in it. Got a radio, communication station.
Yeah, I mean, Punisher Armory. I used to have a few of those, and it basically had handwritten notes of all his weapons.
Yeah.
And how he was going to use them and where he was hiding them and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's some cool stuff there. But this where the show started to pick up a little bit for me once they introduced Microchip, because they both had the same goal, which is the people that killed his family. They both shared that common enemy, and that's where it picked up to like that to me, because dealing with just Frank, I thought that was already done, but they went too far by keep on going. They did a whole flashback of him in Afghanistan or whatever, and then they did some more flashbacks. They kept showing them like wake up. They kept seeing his wife wake up to his wife and all that. Like that, they took about 2-3 episodes to do something they could have done in one.
Yeah,
And then Microchip didn't come to like the third, maybe, or the second. Was that the second or the third?
Like you first caught a glimpse of him in the second, but you didn't meet him till the third.
To the third, right. So that's when it started to pick up, but it still wasn't there yet, because they did a whole long process of, Frank ain't really a trusting person. So they had a whole long process of them trying to, work together.
Like playing the slowest, most aggravating game of phone tag.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't too bad, but once they, got we as the audience know, well, okay, we know they're gonna work together, so they just got to get through this whole I don't trust you deal.
Yeah.
And they did that. They took a whole episode to get through
neither
that.
one of them are particularly trusting,
Right, but I mean, Microchip more or less needed Frank to help him do the stuff, because all he know how to do is use
his whole thing was I need to get him to not kill me for long enough for me to sell this.
Right. And then those two together kind of made it a little interesting, but it still wasn't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, man, I don't know about this series, dude. That was like 4 or 5 in. I was like, When it started to really get good to me is when they said, all right, we need to get guns. Once they decided to join up, and they had a mission and they had focus, that's what I came for.
That felt like the actual start of the show.
Right. And that's what I came for. And I think for those 4 episodes, maybe was that 4 to 5 episodes?
About that, yeah.
They could have done that all in one.
True.
They could have done that all in one. So they added too many episodes. And let's not forget it's 13 episodes.
Right.
So they just trying to get to they just trying to stretch it out. And I think that really hurt the show, stretching it out. 8 episodes would have been perfect for this. But yeah. And then that brings this other character now. What's her name? Dina
Madani.
Right. So they have to do a little arc where the police, they had to show some part is like the police point of view. I wasn't crazy about that. Her arc. Yeah. It was okay. And
for one thing, she's such an unlikable character.
Oh, you think so?
I have no problem with her character. It's just they wrote her so hard nosed.
Yeah.
To the point of being hard nosed towards everything.
I didn't think she was hard nosed. I didn't think she was that interesting. Like, I think they tried to make her different because she's up there driving like it was like a muscle
Mustang.
car. She had like an old school muscle car coming in the door.
Like I think it was like a 67 fastback Mustang.
Yeah, so and then she get out the car with tennis shoes on. She put her heels on. They made it seem like they set her up like she's somebody different, but then when you got to know her, she's nothing special. Not to me. I wasn't impressed, and it wasn't really her acting, it was more the writing, my opinion.
I think whatever interesting aspects there were to her character, they just kept the footnotes and didn't go into any of it.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't give her enough depth to me, Then they gave her a cliche partner, a little squirrely.
The guy no one likes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when she came to this case or whatever, she had already made enemies in other departments or whatever, so it's like that. And then it's the same kind of cliche where the guy nobody likes made her partner, but he's really, smart and talented, but nobody likes him, so he don't get a chance to do anything. But now he got a reason to, do something or whatever. And that'd be a spoiler.
Finally, the chance to make my career mean something.
Yeah,
one of those.
So their whole arc was kind of, it was kind of weak to me.
Yeah.
They and all the dialogue was so textbook cop show dialogue,
I still haven't gotten over that. They must really not like you. Yeah, how you figure that? You got me as a partner.
Textbook cop show, dialogue.
If we're gonna be partners, you gotta trust me. Trust is a two-way street.
Exactly. So stuff like that,
Like I feel like when they were writing for those two, they were like just watching all kinds of old Law and Order episodes.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, they whole arc to me, I was like, it didn't really work. I mean, sometimes we talked about this before. She didn't really feel like she was like, I don't know. She didn't really feel like she was that professional. Like when they did stuff, I ain't gonna say I don't want to blame her on her acting, but she just didn't feel like she belonged there to me.
I don't know if that's her acting or just writing.
Maybe it was just the makeup. Maybe she was just too clean.
Yeah, like everybody else is covered in soot, and her lipstick is completely perfect.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That was a whole other scene. But so this is gonna bring another character into play, and that's Billy the Butte Russo, which is a reoccurring Punisher villain called Jigsaw, and a lot of Punisher villains wasn't reoccurring because he always killed them. So they was like, so that we can't keep making up new people for him to kill. We got to keep some people here.
How many cartels and mafias and mobs can we come up with for him to wipe out? Eventually there won't be no one left.
Yeah, and this particular character in the comics, his face got scarred real bad from the Punisher, and his whole deal was he was called the Butte because he's supposed to been he was real good looking. He was a good looking guy,
real charismatic,
and he was real vain. He was all into his looks, and the Punisher threw his face through a glass window or something, and his face was all scarred or whatever. And then they had to, when they sewed him back up, it was all fucking so that they called him look like a jigsaw puzzle. That was his name, and they changed his character. Yeah. They still
a lot of the tenets of his character is still there, but they changed his backstory up a bit.
Well, yeah, they changed his backstory to Frank's friend. And I want to say I did kind of like the little switcheroo they did on that.
Because like for a bit there, they tricked me into liking him. I'm like, wait, isn't he supposed to be a villain?
But you know what? Would this be kind of spoiler if we kind of tell the twist of that?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say what it was. They did something with his character. They did something with his character that there was sort of a twist. They did something with his character that was a twist. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I hope that ain't spoilers. But yeah, they did something with his character that basically he gonna be Jigsaw, so ain't no point of acting like, oh well, he's he's a good guy, whatever. We already know who he gonna be. He gonna be.
But
one
they
of the
handled
Punisher
it beautifully, though.
Yeah, they did. They did it a certain way that was pretty cool.
Like, cause even to the point of it feeling like he was actually, like, as they reveal bits of his character, it feels like he's changing on you. You know, and most times it's more like, you know, hey, here's this asshole who's pretending to be nice. Watch him trick everybody.
Yeah, that was better than how they handled. As I said before, it's better than how they handled the Anakin turn to the dark side deal, when they just kept making him make mean faces. Like,
I hate them.
We gonna talk about that later. Oh, jeez.
Oh God. Back to Punisher, though.
Yeah. Punisher.
One of our other characters, William Rollins, was it? It was Rollins, right?
Rollins.
Agent Orange.
Oh, the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, stock villain. I mean, the villain wasn't nobody important. I mean,
he was a wannabe Bond villain.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I am a patriot.
They did some old
some diehard shit.
Right, and they made it more like a personal thing, you know, but it was just basically him against a military group.
Because in a really cool way, they made this not about the Punisher versus the villains, but the Punisher and Micro trying to reconcile the problems with their individual approaches with trying to overcome this conspiracy that's ruined both of their lives.
Damn, you said that perfectly. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
I had my moments. Thank God I wasn't trying to walk over nothing, because I know I would have tripped just as I said that shit.
But yeah, and you know, the show goes from there, which and it gets good, and you get some good action scenes out of this, and let's just they pretty much waited to. Okay, there's another problem. They pretty much waited to the end to give you the proper Punisher moments, but they still gave us action in between, though.
I mean, there were a couple of very distracting story arcs going on in the midst of the main story that I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have been there, but they felt like it felt like something else.
Oh yeah,
Lewis,
the
kid.
Oh, you talking about? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they had some other little subplots, but it wasn't enough to take you out of the main plot.
True.
Though. So I give them that. It didn't just give you some subplots, and didn't even some movies give you subplots and don't even close it.
Yeah.
And then it distracts you from your main narrative, and you be like, man, what was the point? You know?
Yeah.
But
I said, like, I didn't go through any of those. Like, why are we talking about this? Like, I definitely wanted to see how those arcs were resolved. But like, as far as my overall expectation of the show, like there was no indication that it was going to have any of that sort of stuff in there until it was there.
So, okay, this is one of my problems with the series. Now, the Punisher, as you know, is human, and he when you deal with gunfire, you're gonna take a shot or two, you know, and you know he gets shot.
You know, most people, they get shot. You know, they're laid up for a couple of weeks to a month and a half trying to get back to partial function.
But hold on, not just shot. I'm talking about injured in multiple different ways.
Shot, beaten, stabbed, thrown off of rooftops,
broken bones, all that, and. Yeah, because of the series need to move on, they have him heal way quicker than he should.
And I think this is kind of the problem with modern storytelling, is because they have this idea that they have to keep everything moving,
but see,
that's the purpose of a time skip, though.
Right, but they don't really go with the narrative, because if you skip time, everything else, you know, because what they was doing was time sensitive.
Yeah, but I feel like that's like, I feel like that, to me, that always feels like poor storyboarding, because if you know that you want to take it to this point, then you either have to rework it a little bit to give them the time necessary to get him back on his feet, you know, or you have to, or you end up outright just like, okay, yes, I know we just put this dude through a meat grinder, but it's fine. Don't question it.
Right. I mean, you want to say, well, maybe y'all should have not injured him as much if you knew that you was gonna have to put him right back into action.
Exactly.
But it's more realistic to do this shit. You gonna get injured.
Yeah.
So it was like a kind of a catch-22. It's like, what do we want to do? Get him injured less and make it look less realistic, or have him come back from injuries way too fast? So which one, you know what I'm saying? Which one outweighs the other? Either way it go, you ain't gonna really win,
Right. I mean, you do kind of have to flip a coin on that.
So which one would you have preferred?
I mean, I've always been so much like into like preemptive storytelling. So like if you're going like I do enjoy those kinds of scenes where like everything gets that down and dirty.
Yeah.
But like if you're gonna have that scene playing around the scene.
Right, but see, those are kind of injuries that you end the movie with, and then they might come back, or you'll see him in the hospital laid up, and then the movie go off. He wasn't done. So when he did that shit,
because like if I was gonna put that scene in there anywhere, it would have been like the last heavy scene just before he finished somebody off.
Right.
Next time you see him, like it's been like a month or so.
Right, a month later, now he back on his feet.
And now he's back on his feet. But like not like, all right, and the action is still going. Like
they had this dude on multiple occasions get hurt bad, and it's believable that he lives through this, but they have him back on his feet like in 2 days.
Like
the next day.
I'm just gonna say this: he probably should have lost at least one arm.
Blood. He lost like a lot of blood. He needed a blood transfusion.
Yeah,
I'm telling you that right now, because he got shot. I don't know how many times. He got his arm. He got a shoulder. He got a shoulder disconnected. Disconnected. His shoulder dislocated. He got shrapnel. He caught shrapnel. He got shot in the head. Got bullet grazed him in the head and left a big gash. He got
stabbed through the arm.
He got stabbed, dude. And this is all in the course of a couple of days. Now, mind you, all this shit happened. You be like, oh shit, he was laid up. He was no. This stuff happened to him. He rests for a day and he go back at it.
Because I'm not a medical expert, but this dude decided to stage a basically an ambush after being beaten half to death and having one of his ribs puncture his lung.
Yeah, okay.
And
talking about
2 hours later, he was gearing up for a fight.
Right back at it.
I've never had a punctured lung. But no one just gets up and gets to fight.
Yeah, I can imagine you'll be off the shelf for quite some time before you're ready to go again.
Like that tissue don't heal quick.
Right. And that was my whole thing. So I just think that they need to retcon this and say that he got Wolverine healing factor.
Yeah, or whatever, durability powers that Dom has in Fast and Furious.
That's in a whole nother universe. That's in the make believe, well, it's all make believe, but that's the bullshit universe. Bullshit, jumping out of a car going 200 miles per hour on concrete and just roll 2 times. No, anyway, we're not talking about Fast and Furious. It was on the whole. Let me give it a rating. On the whole, it was actually a pretty good show. Took a little long to me to get where I wanted to go. But in the 13 episodes, if I can get at least 7 or 8 good ones out of it, I think that's a good thing. But it was just too many episodes. The beginning was too slow and all that, and that took it down a notch. So I'm gonna give it all right on my rating. I want to give it a dope because I did like the end. I did like a lot of it. You know what? I want to bump it up to a dope. I'm gonna give it a low dope. I did enjoy the end. I enjoyed like the last half of this, like the last six episodes, pretty much. And like I said, I had to suspend my disbelief on a lot of the injury stuff. But other than that, I did like it. But the first half, which I think it's gonna even out. You know what? I'm gonna leave it a low dope, but it's close to even out to just all right. Because the first half I didn't care for, but the second half I did. So I'm gonna give it all right.
But look, I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a straight dope. You know, I'm a fairly big fan of the Punisher. I just like all of my favorite characters are what I refer to as Blood Knights. You know, they are the kind of characters that get down in there, they do all the dirt, and then they walk out like they wasn't even there. You know, but they did a great job of exemplifying, you know, what the Punisher is supposed to be. You know, could it have been better? Yes. I was expecting worse though, so I'm cool on that.
Right, and like I said, I didn't dislike it. It just the beginning half to me wasn't really working. But then the second half really picked up and got real good. Yeah. So you know, I wanted to give it a dope, but I think if I can't enjoy at least the first half of it, it's gotta balance out to all right. All right. So that's our review on Netflix, The Punisher. Pretty good. Check it out.
Check it out.
All right. So we're gonna move on.